I tried to put myself on the stage, but I don't know if it's working. I'm not up there at all, am I? Hold up. There we go. There I am. Oh, it shouldn't be anymore. There I am. Awesome. Awesome. So it's working. I'm streaming live. Cool, cool. So the weird thing about this is I don't know if I'm actually going to be able to make this a video because it's telling me that I need to upgrade my plan for me to actually like keep the video. Like if it's on YouTube, I don't know if it's going to stay on YouTube regardless or if I have to do something else. Do you know? Oh, you can actually probably chat. Can you chat something? Oh, that's cool. Awesome, awesome. So can you hear me through your computer? Sweet. Do I sound too loud? But I'm not too loud, right? Cool. Awesome. All right, I guess I'll start the show. So, welcome to the show. This is my first time ever streaming on StreamYard. Really excited to give it a shot. And if this works out well, I might actually upgrade the membership here and see if I can actually do some more stuff with this. I'm gonna move a couple things around though, make sure my screen is shareable. So, a couple things happened today. First thing was Nintendo Switch 2 Direct. That was absolutely incredible. A lot of bangers coming out of that one, and super excited to see Kirby's Air Ride again. I saw new Professor Layton stuff in there. This crazy new Bloodborne-esque game coming up. So that was really cool. Then you got around the same time a random like Star for their new animated project, very Clone Wars like project coming out of Star Wars. And then you have this week's comic haul. I got a couple comics that I've bought over really the last week and a half, so to speak, right? So we'll talk about some of the comics I bought, some of which I've read, some of which I haven't opened up yet. And yeah, we'll get into it. So first, let's talk about this Nintendo Direct here. And I'm not gonna like share the whole thing. I might just like kind of scan through it and talk about some of my favorite parts of it. So we'll go ahead and present right here. And this is also just so I can like see how screen sharing works, right? So if I screen share, sure. We're just gonna go Nintendo Direct. All right, so hey, I feel super official now. I'm gonna turn the volume down just a little bit here. And definitely was a big day, right? Like so much stuff happened. We had this Mario Kart game, and the first vibe I really got reminded me of kind of the old F-Zero GX with the sheer amount of racers at a time. And of course, the graphics look great. Definitely looks like a big upgrade from the last Mario Kart game we had. But what's crazy is we have going on with the extra features here. We're talking about like weird off-road stuff, being able to, just kind of drive around with your friends. The different routes they show and different types of power-ups, they're pretty crazy. Then you got the cosmetics and stuff that are pretty awesome. So I'm really happy about this one. Definitely gonna be something everyone's gonna buy at launch. And one thing I wanted to talk about with this one in particular, you see a lot of content of people talking about the price of these Nintendo games, which is just kind of silly to me because one thing about a Nintendo game is that as far as the value you get for the actual time you're going to play it, entertainment value, and a lot of times even a game that's well worth its price, and usually like under promises and over delivers to an extreme degree. And I was just looking at some prices of games that have come out recently, and I know this is kind of derailing things, but I think it really does kind of make sense, right? Like if you go to Steam, right? Go to Steam, go to my Steam store. If you look at Monster Hunter Wilds, for example, You can look at Monster Hunter Wilds and look at how much Monster Hunter Wilds costs, right? Like you say, okay, it costs $60 or $70, but in reality, it costs. Let me go ahead and share this, right? If I can change my screen, can I show my Steam? Yeah, I'll show my Steam here. So if I look at like how much Monster Hunter Wilds costs, share screen. Yeah. Where is it at? Where's my Steam? Oh, maybe I can't share it. Window, Steam, share temporarily, right? All right. So if you see like in Steam, Monster Hunter Wilds costs $70, but you don't really buy the game unless you're buying the deluxe edition. And even then, there's a premium deluxe edition. And if you look down below here, you get a cosmetic DLC pass for $50. So the cost of this game is well over $80 if you want to own everything in the game. Now, Nintendo may have some paid DLC in here, but for the last Mario Kart game, remember, as long as you had Nintendo Online, they gave you free track upgrades, like updates, like all the time. So you were getting more free value from that game. And let's not forget that if you own a Nintendo game and you want to play it with friends, it's shareable across your like a Nintendo family, and also can be played online with your friends with only one of you guys owning the game. So I think it's kind of blown out of proportion. If you think about inflation in general, right? Like games have gone up in value or in quality, but haven't gone up in monetary price significantly at all. When I was a kid, I wanted Majora's Mask for Christmas, and Majora's Mask cost $70. It costs $70. If you want the expansion pack, it can run you up to like $80, $90, right? So even in the 90s, early 2000s, games cost $60 to $70. It's only recently that we started to be like really unnerved by it, but it's still the exact same price. Meanwhile, if you go to Five Guys, ordering a Five Guys for two people is like $40, right? For $40, you could buy a decent JRPG and be entertained for 70 hours. So one Five Guys meal for two people or 70 hours of entertainment is the kind of value proposition we're talking about for video games now. I think we're well overdue for video games price to increase. I just think that the valid criticism here would be if you increase the price of video games, increase that price honestly. Like increase it honestly. Just don't try to split it up between here's the game, but if you want the whole game, buy the first season pass, buy the DLC with it. I mean, shoot, when I bought Street Fighter 6, right? I'm a big Street Fighter guy. I bought Street Fighter 6. Street Fighter 6 cost me over $100 to buy it because I have to get the season pass. And for a fighting game, it's not optional to buy the extra characters. You need all the characters so that you can, at the minimum, train against the characters, right? So it to me just seems a bit disingenuous. I think a lot of times people want to make these arguments about cash grab and all this other stuff, and it's all anti-capitalist kind of nonsense that I think people need to grow up and realize that they're going to buy the game anyway and that they're getting a deal. All right, let's go back to this thing because I'm getting off track. Oh, not slides and PDFs. This is why I got to do it this way. This is why I learn things. Back to Nintendo Direct. Oh, full screen ad. There we go.
Hello, everyone. I'm Koichi Kawamoto.
Yeah, so I really thought the some parts I thought were really cool.
Nintendo Direct.
I love like they have like the grind rail thing and
I'm the producer for Nintendo
the wall
Switch
bounce
2.
thing. That seemed pretty cool. Little Ninja
I'm
Gaiden in
Takahiro
your
Dota, the director
your Mario
for
Kart.
Nintendo Switch 2. And I'm Tetsuya Sasaki.
See what
the
else?
hardware
Oh yeah, the
design
Grand
lead
Prix
for
mode.
game.
Let's look at this. Why do I have this?
You can go off the racetrack and drive virtually everywhere
I
in
thought
this
this was kind
world.
of cool.
In the classic Grand Prix, race through 4
Mhm.
courses in a bid for first place. But don't sleep at the wheel. You'll also drive to the next course as part of the competition.
This I thought was really
With
interesting. It's kind of like
24
how in
drivers
Mario
in
Golf,
each
how you
race,
can like
the most in
golf
series
and run
history,
and like be
the
like speed
competition
golf
is
as well.
gearing up.
It's pretty cool how you go through Grand Prix, but you have a much more involved Grand Prix where you go
Introducing
from the next
Knockout
one track to
Tour.
the next as well. I think that's really cool.
Race non-stop from one corner of the world to another.
You know, this is going to make such good content because you're going to have
There
so
are
many
multiple
people play
checkpoints
one of these
along
at
the
one
way.
time. There's so many
If you're
streamers
below the
like playing
placement
these
shown when
long
you hit a
races, these
checkpoint,
marathon-like
you'll be
races. It's been a lot of fun.
eliminated. Can you make it all the way to the finish line?
Knockouts are always fun in any game that has it.
You can also freely drive around this vast world in free roam.
This is gonna make very good
By
content
going
too.
off-road,
People
you
that
can
decide to
explore
just
new
drive around with their
areas
friends
and
and like
routes.
do stuff.
So drive wherever your heart takes you.
It's also just a good way to like just have time to do and stuff.
You can also go for
Like
scenic
if I was
drives with
like
friends.
if I was 9 years old,
And
I would be
even take
dreaming of
photos
this,
together
right?
at
This
different
would be like
locations.
the ultimate Christmas present. I guess for me, my birthday present, right? 'Cause my birthday in June, so yeah. Dinosaurs always win.
A brand new race across the
I'm
entire
happy
world
with that.
starts here. Mario
camera
Kart
stuff was kinda cool.
World.
Honestly, like, I'm kind of like prone to
With this
skip over this
feature,
because I really
you'll be
just
able to
didn't. I
communicate
didn't really
with
care
friends
so
and
much
family
about the
while
camera
playing a
stuff,
game.
but I did like what it meant, like technologically speaking, like the fact that we can do this, basically make
While
an
using the
isolated
game chat
Discord.
feature,
And I think that
your
if you
voice
have
is recognized by a
kids,
microphone
it's
built
probably
into
a
the
great
system.
feature because
Okay, but you're still
ultimately
behind
what
me,
you're
right?
doing is you're
Alright, let's keep going
siloing
again.
the
It can
online
pick up your speaking
the
voice
online
clearly, even
engagement for
from a
like
distance.
trusted
Jump
friends
on
and
here.
family, right? They feel like to play
Alright, let's keep
online,
going.
but you're kind of
Let's make a
controlling it.
left right here. Let's
If they
make a
want
left.
to
When
play
it's noisy
online with
around
strangers,
you,
that
your
you're not
voice
going to be
will still come
interacting with
through
them, like
clearly, letting you
so.
chat with ease.
It's fun. I think if you have friends that have Switch 2s, which you're
It
going
does
to,
with
especially if one person has the
Okay.
game,
And you can use
they
this
would have spent
feature
some
in
time.
handheld mode too, letting you easily chat with
All
friends
right,
and
let's go
family.
past this one here. What's the next
If you
one we
open
got?
the controller, there's an additional
Ooh,
button.
they're still on that. Yeah,
With the C button, you can pull up a chat menu.
parental controls, all that.
and play together.
Oh yeah, the new game share is
But
pretty
on
cool.
Nintendo Switch 2, you can play together locally on multiple systems using just one game with Game Share. As shown here, even games that require multiple screens can be played if one person owns a compatible game.
Mhm.
With Game Share, you can temporarily share compatible games with others who also have Nintendo Switch 2 or a Nintendo Switch system.
So what's cool about this is that this was actually a feature of the original Nintendo DS, but the Nintendo DS had it in a much more limited capacity. Like for example, if you had Mario 64 DS, you could game share your DS game with somebody else, and effectively you'd have access to a couple playground levels or mini game levels where you could multiplayer with other people's DSs. They didn't have to have the game, but you could still kind of play with them. What this is taking that concept and taking it to a whole nother level where you can literally share compatible games multiplayer with people that do not have it. Sure, it's temporary and they can like just play it with you in that moment, but that's a really cool concept. Now, the other game share concept is that you'll be able to actually share games as part of the Nintendo family, but I don't think in that way you'll be able to play them at the same time. But this does solve that problem. Whereas, like, if you wanted to do a game share multiplayer experience and play together, you can do it. Of course, that person could also still be in your Nintendo family and possibly just play the game on their own as well as part of the shared the sharing cards experience they've got going on. So that's going to be really cool.
You can share a game with up to 3 other systems at a time. Game Share also supports online play with other Switch 2 systems, and you can use it with friends via Game Chat, which we showed earlier.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. It's really
Game
next
share-
level that you can actually play the online game with your friends and just like, hey, I've got Clubhouse games. Y'all just want to play some Gomoku, or I've got, whatever the game is, Mario 3D World. Y'all just want to get on and play that. Well, Mario Kart. Probably one person can have it, and we can all just race. Makes the kid that has the game the most popular kid.
Can only be used with compatible games. This feature is planned for several titles, starting with a free update for Clubhouse Games 51 Worldwide Classics on Nintendo Switch.
And that Clubhouse Games game is actually
Game
worth
Share
playing. I
support
actually enjoy
is
playing
also
it.
planned for select games exclusive to Nintendo Switch 2, so we
Mhm.
hope you'll look forward to it.
Up next, we'd like to show you the Nintendo Switch 2 system itself.
Please take a look.
At 7.9 inches, Switch 2 has a bigger built-in screen. Here's how that compares to
Hmm.
Nintendo Switch. The system's thickness remains the same. With approximately double the pixels compared to Switch, you can enjoy games in greater detail on the 1080p screen.
Yeah, that 1080p is actually a pretty big deal.
The screen supports up to 120 frames per second, allowing for smoother gameplay in supported titles. The LCD screen is more vivid and supports HDR, providing more contrast between light and dark areas of the images. The all-new Joy-Con 2 controllers connect magnetically. Strong magnets keep the controllers firmly attached to the system.
See, I always thought that was kind of weird, right? Now, I know I was talking to my brother earlier, and he was telling me that, the magnets don't really wear out, but I always thought that magnets could wear out, that like eventually the magnet wouldn't be as strong anymore. I could be wrong, right? But I mean, it's cool. It's cool if as long as it endures for a long time. One thing that I liked about the plastic would be like if magnets can wear out, you always can just sink in another plastic Switch controller or whatever, right? But if the magnet doesn't wear out, it should be fine. I was just worried about that.
Detach your controller easily by pressing the release button on the back. The SL and SR buttons.
Oh, I didn't even notice that before. Holy crap, that's a big game changer. Those are the most annoying buttons to press, and usually you only really want to use those if you have one of the grippy thingies to put on the side of it to basically make those buttons larger. Like, that's cool. And oh, you can see here when they go into mouse mode, that's your little mouse right there. That's your little mouse laser. That's really cool.
Are bigger for greater comfort and control when playing with a Joy-Con 2 held horizontally. The left and right sticks are now larger.
You know what is true about this though? A
Each
lot of these
Joy-Con
changes
2
could have been
controller
made
can be
to the
used
original
as a
Joy-Con
mouse
as like
to
a
play
trial.
with compatible games.
They could have given
Both
you a
the
larger
left and
joystick
right
Joy-Con.
Joy-Con 2 support mouse controls.
Or maybe not, right? Because this new screen
By
is
adjusting the
actually
audio balance
taller as
between the
well, so they
ranges,
probably couldn't do it.
sounds from the built-in speakers are clearer and more natural in handheld and tabletop modes.
It also makes more sense for an individual Joy-Con to be a
It
controller.
has a built-in microphone, so you can voice chat with friends anytime via game chat. It also uses noise-canceling technology to filter sounds, so your voice will come through clearly.
Yeah, I don't really trust that as much. I'll probably just use the audio jack and a headset
Even if you don't
because I
have
know
a
the controller's
surround
now the
sound
audio
system,
jack.
games can be enjoyed with more immersive, three-dimensional sound, as if it were coming from all around you.
Which once again is just another reason to get to use the audio jack. If you can get game sound and some surround sound headphones, that'd be pretty cool.
Place your Nintendo Switch 2 however you like with a large, sturdy stand. You can move it freely, like this.
You know what's crazy? That was like the first problem with playing your Switch freestanding was that little tab of plastic you use to try to set it up, and it always snaps off. In fact, like it's designed to just snap off that way it never actually breaks. So it's like you always had this flimsy thing that you just expected to just crumble and fall over, and now you've got something that's meant to stand freely. Like it's just an improvement on the Switch all in all. And I'm a huge Switch shill. Like I bought the Switch the day it came out when there was only 1-2 Switch in Breath of the Wild. Like that's when I bought it. Right. So I've been a shill for the Switch forever. And even still, I'm like, yeah, there's definitely some problems where I'm like, this annoys me to this day. I didn't even realize it's a
In addition to the
USB-C port.
USB-C port found on the bottom of the system,
Nice.
there's one on top as well. It's handy for connecting a
Yep.
USB-C camera or charging in tabletop mode.
Yeah, it's great. I didn't even realize the last time I saw it.
Nintendo Switch 2 comes with 256 gigabytes of internal
Thank
storage,
God.
8 times that of Nintendo Switch, for storing your game downloads, save data, and more.
Like, it's still not a ton, but it does tremendously help out because we've been struggling with internal Nintendo storage like ever since the Wii, really. But the Wii U, I think, was when things really got bad. When you had to first buy your SD card so you could play Xenoblade Chronicles X, you had to get a micro SD to play that game. There was no other way. I remember when the Wii U came out, and if you had it preloaded with Tekken Tag Tournament, that it was done. Like, there's nothing else you could do with this console. Like, it's just Tekken Tag Tournament. That's your console. So I'm glad they finally addressed the storage issue. I think that part of the reason that they really can't is because they have, when they do things at Nintendo, it's very, very proprietary, and they have to use these very, very small graphics processors, very small, low profile chipsets that are just made for this console. They can't easily make upgradable versions for it, and you got to remember that Switch 2 also was delayed for a long time with the chip shortage issue during the pandemic. So this has just been like, it's been impossible to really improve upon it. They are going to say that you can use a micro SD Express, which they're going to get to
Reading
now.
and writing data is also faster.
Oh, they're gonna, this is after that. Okay, so yeah, so I'll skip the micro SD Express part, but yeah, like they're gonna get to that micro SD Express, which is just a new, faster read write micro SD. That's all it is. Same size, everything. You're still not going to get that much space, but thankfully these games don't require a ton of space. So it's fine. This is one thing I really, really wanted though. This dock is absolutely sick. I personally prefer to play Switch docked anyway. Now this gives me an incentive to do so for a much better experience, more so than just not running out of battery. First of all, we're getting 4K, right? So I
Use the
upscale that
Nintendo Switch 2 dock
1080p to
connect to your
4K.
TV and
Games are
enable
going to
up
look
to
a lot
4K
better,
resolution
right?
for
We can have
compatible
third-party games present in proper
HDR
resolution.
is also supported in TV mode.
Love it. Love it. This is the best, though.
The Nintendo Switch 2 dock has a built-in fan that keeps your system cool.
Have you ever noticed how hot your Switch gets when you're doing anything? When you're doing anything. I remember, and I think that the thing that really showed me how destroyed my Switch was getting, and I've had my Switch since the day Switch was released in the United States. I stood in line at a Toys R Us for my Switch. And my Switch, like, it just is always on fire, right? Especially when you play, like I was going to say, Hyrule Warriors. Hyrule Warriors is the benchmark for why, we need a Switch 2. The game does not function on the Nintendo Switch properly. There's tons of lagging. The character models don't pop up in time. There's just too much going on screen. And then your Switch is freaking charred, black, burnt by the time you're done playing it. Having this upscaling, what I hope is that we get an upscale version of Hyrule Warriors. The first one, I know they're going to give us a new one. If it was an upscale version of the first one, I would really appreciate that.
This helps keep performance stable.
Yeah, love it. Everything should have cooling, by the way. Like, every
On
game
Nintendo
console should have
Switch 2,
some serious
You
cooling.
can play
I know they
Nintendo
do,
Switch 2
but I think that it should even be upgraded further, because I remember when I was in Evo last year, how PS5s were legit melting people's USB controllers. Like, there is something where, yes, these things do have cooling fans, but even my computer right now, I need to upgrade to Liquid because it is becoming so taxing to play any modern game. We have way too many textures, shaders, lighting and shadow effects, so much processing that goes into just running any Unreal Engine game that, if something isn't poorly optimized, like Path of Exile 1, like, crashes my computer, and I'm not running, a bad graphics card. I'm running like, a 2060 RTX, right? This isn't terrible. It's old, but it can play Path of Exile, and even that would crash me
Video
sometimes.
games. as well as compatible Nintendo Switch games. Physical and digital games are supported.
But yeah, let's move on to some of the other stuff here because I didn't really care about this thing. That didn't really matter to me that they have a tutorial thing. Yeah, the micro SD, I mentioned that earlier.
As you just saw,
Nothing really
Nintendo
different
Switch
about
2
that.
isn't
System
simply
transfer,
an
we
improved
expect that.
Nintendo Switch, which
Love
launches
this
game.
controller. Of course, the Pro controller is probably one of the best feeling controllers on the market right now, period, anyway. So love it. Not only that, but it's got that audio jack in the back there. I really like this, what they're going to show us soon. I don't know if they showed it to you guys already. They're going to show us the
And
extra
on the back,
buttons.
there are new GL and GR
Yeah.
buttons.
So these macro buttons are pretty sick. And I've never used a modern controller or a custom controller where I would have to macro those buttons. Personally, I've never used one of those. But if you have, let me know what that's like, because to me, this shows that your Switch Pro controller has some hardcore use for, let's say, if you use those kind of buttons to macro anything in an FPS or something like that. I don't know typically what those macro buttons do, but it does show Nintendo is sensitive to changes in how people play games. When I was a kid growing up, games were all about front face buttons. They were thumb games, right? You use a D-pad and front face buttons, right? That was how games were played all the way up until basically Halo. Once Halo happened, both thumbs were occupied by the LR stick. Then it became just about the four fingers, right? That was the FPS grip. FPS grip has taken over all games to the point where even action games, even Elden Ring, you're using, parries and strikes and heavy strikes. Everything is off this. Not as much going on with the thumbs, right? Unless with Elden Ring, you don't need the camera control very much, so you can dodge. You'll lock on so the camera control isn't important that you can dodge with the thumbs. But thumbs, games aren't really thumb anymore. Now they've become more claw-y, and maybe if you're used to playing claw style, if you're a younger person, right, then maybe those bottom grips give you a little bit of extra utility, some extra buttons, because it just seems interesting to me. Also love the audio jack.
Buttons, which you can use to assign existing button controls.
They mentioned just to
an audio
assign
jack
existing
has been
controls,
added.
so no
We've
game
introduced
is
a
likely
few
going to
new
have
features,
those
and after
mapped by
today's
default.
presentation, the official Nintendo
It's
Switch
really
2
designed
website
for
will
custom
go
experience,
live.
more hardcore
There will
experience.
also be an Ask the Developer article on
Don't
the
care about
website
those.
where the three of us
Oh, this
will
is going
talk
to be
about
cool,
the new
right?
games.
First type is Nintendo Switch 2 games.
3 types of game. They get Switch 2 games.
These games
You
take
knew that.
advantage of the performance and features of Switch 2. The second type is compatible games that were released on Nintendo Switch.
Yes. Backwards compatible.
Nintendo Switch 2 edition games are the third type. Some games that were released on Switch were
Actually, let me pause that real quick. So they didn't say backwards compatible. They said compatible Switch games. So that does leave room for some older games from your original Switch may not be compatible with your Switch 2. I don't know what that will entail. It looks like every major Nintendo title will be. It could be that there are some third-party games that may not be compatible in switching over to Switch 2. I didn't think about that. But the Switch 2 editions, this is what I love. I love this.
will receive upgraded versions that offer things like improved visuals, unique ways to play on Switch 2, and more. Now, I'd like to show you the Nintendo Switch 2 edition of Super Mario Party Jamboree.
Like, I'm not a Mario Party person, but one thing I was really hoping when this first came on was that we would get some upgraded games, because like I mentioned earlier with Hyrule Warriors, it's very difficult to play that game on a Switch. It's not designed for a Switch, to be fair. It cannot work properly on a Switch. It needs the additional processing power and the cooling fan of a Switch 2, because there's just too much happening on screen, right? Like, it's too much processing going on. The game, it's lags like crazy. The character models don't populate for the enemies a lot of time. It has some serious issues with processing. I would love to see it just simply upscaled. What I didn't expect was that they would add features. And this is where Nintendo really shines, and why I just can't understand how people can have like such a hate boner for Nintendo about anything, because here you bought Mario Party, and now if you have a Switch 2, you'll probably pay a fee, but you get upgraded to a new version of Mario Party that has better visuals, has enhanced game modes, and uses the features of the new console. Right? This is a good deal. You know what used to happen? What used to happen was when you buy, let's say you buy a Switch, you just get Mario Kart 8 again, but it's 8 Deluxe. Right? Like you have to buy it again. You know, it used to be, oh, you bought a Wii U. Okay, well, you want to get, was it Wind Waker HD? You want to buy it again? Now it says, no, keep your game, but because you're using better hardware, let's incentivize you to move that game to this hardware and upgrade it. It's kind of like when PS4, if you bought a PS4 game when PS5 came out, because of the delays to PS5, they say, hey, you can just upgrade this to a PS5 version, right? And it's very similar, except you're getting so much more gameplay variety. I mean, like I mentioned, I don't even like Mario Party, but the fact that they're giving you so much value with this, the ability to
Mario
use
Party Jamboree is getting an
the
upgrade
camera
on
features,
Nintendo Switch 2.
the mouse function,
The upgrade expands
everything.
on the base game and adds new features, including mouse controls,
Yep, mouse controls, yeah. So you get new mini games.
audio recognition,
Yep, using the microphone.
more expressive rumble,
Yep.
and gameplay that uses a camera accessory. All of which
Dude, what
can be
was that?
accessed on Switch 2.
The chat. What was
Let's check
that?
out 3 new and updated
Was it the
modes.
iToy for the
First up
PlayStation 2? The
is Mario
iToy, is that
Party
what that was
mode.
called?
With a
That's
single
what it reminds
camera,
me of.
up to 4 players
I
can
used to
join the
love the
festivities.
iToy. I think it was called the iToy.
You'll be able to see each other's faces as you play, so you can experience
Back when PS2 had
all
that
the
camera you could
reactions
interact
and
with.
emotions in real time.
But old is new again, man.
Or 4 friends can take the party online.
I mean, like there was the Kinect, but the iToy would be like the first one.
Up next, it's Bowser Live, a mode where the Bowser will bring you on stage to hit blocks to collect the most coins.
Yeah, that's just basically iToy, yeah.
Guide an RC car with your voice. Go. And compete in other mini
But see, like
games
that's
using full body movement
for a lot
and
of people
sound.
worth
Finally,
buying Mario
take a
Party
ride on
for
the
the first time
mouse-controlled
if they didn't
carnival
buy it for the
coaster.
Switch
With
originally.
the safety bar
And if you already
lowered and
have it, just
secured,
upgrade it, man.
you're
Just upgrade it.
off.
Have a good time.
Use mouse controls to shoot down enemies while you feel the bumps and rumbles of the coaster.
That mouse control thing is giving me like, and I was telling my brother this earlier. It's giving me vibes to back when I used to buy Game Informer magazines and Game Pro magazines, and they used to show hardware ads in the back. I remember there was at one point keyboard and mouse extension for the Dreamcast because of how popular Quake was, and Dreamcast was the only console where you could really play online at the time. So people were getting keyboard and mouse for Quake and Unreal, so they can play console online. And it just reminds me of that. Like, think about how good it's going to feel to play a shooter if you're used to PC, and let's say you play Metroid on here and you can use mouse function to aim. How much better it's going to feel to play Metroid? How much better it's going to feel to play anything, Splatoon? You know how if they have Call of Duty on here, Doom, whatever. It'll feel better than it feels on console. I mean, not
When you
console, but on
enter a
like
pipe,
mainstream
A
consoles.
mini game will begin. There's a bouldering game where 2 players each control an arm,
Yeah.
and one where you shake a can of spray paint and quickly tag objects.
I mean, you're getting your money's worth to upgrade, for sure.
Enjoy the thrill of these intuitive mini games. How quickly can you reach the station? From mini games that use a camera, the built-in microphone, mouse controls,
I mean,
and
they're
rumble,
showing us
the
over a
biggest
dozen
party
games,
yet
man.
is getting even bigger.
And you get
Super
the whole
Mario
other, you
Party
get the
Jam-
whole Super Mario Party game
2
before that
edition
as well.
plus
It's-
Jamboree TV
I don't even
launches
like
on
this game.
Nintendo
I
Switch
just love
2
what they're
July
doing with
24th.
their IP. Like, it's just so
Nintendo
good.
Switch 2 players who already own Super
We're
Mario
about to go
Party
to Zelda.
Jamboree can upgrade to
All right.
Nintendo Switch 2 Edition plus Jamboree
I'll let it
TV
keep
by
playing because I don't want to stay
purchasing
on this
an upgrade
direct the
pack.
whole time because it's already been about 30 minutes.
Please
And,
look forward to a new Mario
like,
Party
I've already
experience,
seen it.
where
You
you
guys
can
have
see
already
each
seen
other's
it.
reactions while playing.
But I will let it keep
Let's
going for a
continue
little
presenting
bit
some
because I
more
did want
Nintendo
to talk
Switch
about
2
this
edition
Zelda.
games.
So what I didn't expect
Nintendo
was
Switch
that they
2
would
editions of
upgrade
The Legend of Zelda
both
Breath of the
titles.
Wild and The Legend of
It
Zelda
makes sense
Tears
because
of
they're
the
both from
Kingdom
the same engine.
feature enhanced resolution and frame rates, and also support HDR, which makes the image more
Bro,
vibrant, so you can play with smoother, high.
I'm going to replay those games because of this. I'm going to replay those games because of this. Like, I always have felt like Breath of the Wild was just that just quintessential perfect adventure game. And really it is. It is one of the most perfect adventure games ever. It's got not just Zelda aspects, but aspects of plenty of like more cozy adventure games like Uru, and also having this crazy overworld, being the first game to really do it, spawning a whole genre of Breath of the Wild like games after it. Not only that, but then Elden Ring even, kind of encapsulates it into a more dark and brooding form, but that still retains the beauty and exploration. Like, this game is so important, but now we get to have it with more power, a higher resolution. Remember, this is now capable of 4K, right? If we plug this into our dock is capable of 4K resolution. And they're upscaling the game and adding features, adding environments.
higher definition graphics.
This is going to be so good. This is the experience we wanted.
Plus, you can get even more out of your adventures in Hyrule using Zelda Notes.
I thought this was brilliant.
This new feature can be accessed on smart devices.
Like, I probably wouldn't use it.
It's a game-specific service.
I'm not really a
that's
completionist
exclusive
with
to
Zelda. I
the
kind of
Switch
just want to
2
finish the
editions of
story,
these
and maybe if
titles.
there's like a broken
For
item
example,
through
it
like
can
a
help
trade
guide
game,
you
like
to
the big
various
Goron sword,
locations, like shrines
probably
and
do
Koroks
that.
you haven't found yet.
But I don't need to know
Guidance
where every single
activated.
Korok seed is. I don't need to know all that stuff.
Proceed north.
I would just be annoyed. It's not like you're not going to know where to go,
Or you can share your creations.
This could be
using
pretty
QR
cool.
codes and
I
send
do
them to
think
another
that
player to
it would
create
end
a
up
variant.
cheapening it after a while. Once you just kind of realize everything's already been made, you just download the most broken stuff. But I mean, the game's been out for over a year now, so what more do you want,
We hope these features will make your adventures even more enjoyable.
Yeah. It'll get people turned on again for sure.
In
I never
Kirby and the
played this
Forgotten Land,
mainly
you'll
because
be
the
able
last
to
Kirby
enjoy
game I
an
played
additional
before this one
story
was just way too
exclusive
easy.
to the Nintendo Switch 2 edition,
And
along with
I
improved
just,
graphics and
sometimes
frame
you're
rates.
not the target audience. I will say though that this game looks so incredibly
This story
majestic
takes place
and
in the
beautiful
Forgotten
that I
Land after
do
being
want
struck
to
by a
experience it,
powerful meteor that's causing
even
some
if it's going to be
mysterious
like
changes.
really stupid and easy.
We hope you're looking forward to Kirby's new adventure. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond
Yeah,
will
that's
have
what I was
both a
mentioning
Nintendo
earlier, how good
Switch
it's going to
and
feel
a
to play this
Nintendo
game.
Switch 2 edition.
What surprised me in Metroid Prime is that I always figured that it was just going to be on Switch 2 and not be on Switch at all. I figured it was just
In
going to be a
addition
Switch
to
2 game.
standard controls, you can use mouse
I do love to
controls
see,
for
look,
intuitive gameplay on Switch
how much
2.
better it is to keyboard and mouse basically for any
Plus,
shooter.
you
It's
can
basically
explore the
undeniable.
immersive world in 4K at 60 frames per
Yep,
second,
4K, 60
or enjoy
FPS.
HD at 120 frames per second.
Now that's sick. That's something that every game should have. If you play on PC, you already kind of have this experience of being able to choose between whether or not you want your game to look good or, play well to feel better. And some console games do that too, but usually it's a game by game basis. The fact that Nintendo is recognizing that and giving players the ability to upscale the graphics for more cinematic experience or upscale performance, I think that's just incredible. And honestly, like, we really need that for a game like Metroid that's very exploration and ambiance based. I'll probably will be playing on quality mode the first playthrough. If I play through it again, I'll probably play through it on performance.
Choose from these two modes, both of which support HDR, based on your preference and playstyle. Plus, Pokémon Legends ZA, which is scheduled to launch later this year, will not only receive a Nintendo Switch version, but a Nintendo Switch 2 edition as well. By taking advantage of the power of Switch 2, you can enjoy your adventure in Lumio City with enhanced resolution and frame rates.
Yeah, fair enough, right?
Nintendo
Because
Switch
they're
2
not gonna
edition games we
scam
just
the
saw
Switch
will be
purchaser. They're
available
just
as both
basically
physical
said better
and digital
graphics,
versions.
better performance for the Switch 2 version, which makes
And
sense.
if you already own the Nintendo Switch version of a game, you can play
We
the
can just
Nintendo Switch
upscale
2
it.
edition by
We can just
purchasing an
upscale it. We can
upgrade
just
pack.
upgrade it. Great.
We hope you're looking
You
forward
already
to
own those
these
games.
Nintendo Switch 2
When you get the
edition
Switch,
games.
you already own those games. Get the upgrade
Next,
pack. We
I'd
don't,
like to
we don't know how much
introduce
it's
a
going to
brand new
cost, but
game
you get it
featuring
anyway.
mouse controls with the Joy-Con 2 controllers. Please take a look.
Oh, just going mouse control thing. Oh, this thing. This thing I thought was so wild, man. I thought this was so wild when I first saw it. I really couldn't believe it. I didn't know if like people should be offended or not by this. But at the same time, the game looks like really cool. Literally, wheelchair basketball. Like that's like, and I was like, okay, that looks like it'll be fun. Like, I like the idea of having to finesse the controls that way. I'm someone that loves games with finesse kind of controls. Like I love Trackmania, I love Virtual Fighter, I love Elite Dangerous. You know, any game where I have to like figure out how to control a vehicle or something clunky and make it not clunky anymore. I love that. The fact you gotta like finesse these controls to get down there and try to shoot those balls, like to me, that's gonna be an addictive loop for me, right? You know, like it's silly. And at first I was like, I don't know, this like what is this? But at the same time, it's a cool concept. We got wheelchair basketball, and this is the best part. You get trick. Oh, he actually added points. I didn't notice that last time. They added points for the cool trick. They added points for that. Oops, I messed up. But we'll get there again. So, like when he dunks, he's gonna get an extra 0.2 points. It's gonna go on the scoreboard. See those decimals right there? So 2.0 for the shot. All right, he gets the ball, whatever. He's like, I'm gonna do my thing. Pass the moment. This is like bombing run. Look at that. Score. 3-pointer. All right. 11.3 to 8.5. You see this? So that means when this happens, the dunk, cool trick, he went to 9.6 right there. So you actually get extra points for dunking. I love that. That's so cool. That's going to be a fun game. I think that you should just have that just to mess around. Like, everybody should just have that to
In
mess
Drag and
around.
Drive,
Like, why not?
You'll use both Joy-Con 2 controllers as mice to intuitively pull off various moves.
I mean, as far as
We hope you're
using
looking
the
forward to a new
Joy-Cons, right? That's
twist on
better than
3-on-3
ARMS.
matches using dual mouse controls.
That's more interesting than ARMS.
Next, here are some games from our publishing and development partners coming to Nintendo Switch 2.
Oh, development partners, yeah. So yeah, Elden Ring, right? We knew that was we saw that. That was cool. Not really. I don't really care. Like a lot of these games, you know, for better or for worse, right? Yes, they're on your Nintendo now, but you've already played them. You've already played Elden Ring. You've already played Hades 2. Street Fighter 6 was kind of wild, right? That we had Street Fighter 6 here, and this was also the reveal of the Fighters Edition for Street Fighter 6. Once again, I'm a fighting game person. I have a lot of hours sunk into Street Fighter 6. They have a new Elena art up here, which was very interesting because we haven't even gotten her trailer yet, which is cool. But if you have not bought Street Fighter 6 yet, here's your chance to actually get the game as it is right now at a good price with the first 2 DLC packages, right? Like this is what the game is right now, which also means that when this comes out, that should be when Elena is released. When you think about it, on the same day as the Switch 2 with amiibos, I will probably buy the amiibos, for sure. Like I'll probably will buy the amiibos, especially if they have one for each character. That'd be really cool. Like, but the thing is, I wouldn't have this game because I already have it on PC and I've already paid over $100 for this game because fighting games cost about $200. So I already have this game. But here's the deal, though. If this game is releasing the same day as Switch 2. That could mean that when that comes out will be when this season actually is closed out. Like, are they saying that Ellen is going to release in June? Because I figured she'd be released this month. You ain't even getting a trailer for her yet, but she definitely has to be released before the Fighters Edition comes out, right? So
initiating Arsenal boot sequence.
now this I thought was really cool.
All operating at normal levels.
Like,
Testing
I
data
played the
with
original
slot.
Daemon X Machina demo, like when it was on like for basically free for a little while. It felt good, reminded me of Zone of the Enders, and it did come out on Switch first, which I thought was nice. I mean, like,
I'm in need of a new arsenal, new equipment.
I'm no longer
money.
the age group to play
I'm
this
for
game.
sale.
I'm no longer the target audience for this game, but it's cool.
Thanks
Right, like,
for
I
the
think that like
warm welcome.
Armored Core is just a more satisfying game than that.
planet will be ours.
They have Split Fiction, right? They got Tony Hawk,
The Trinitas,
which I was really happy about. Tony Hawk, Hogwarts Legacy, cool.
destroy all humanity.
Let me go a little further.
Because we're in the middle
Because
of a war.
Hitman, 007,
I won't just stop you.
Yakuza.
All children.
Oh, this one was something that I thought was really interesting. So the Koei Tecmo collab,
Descended from the heavens.
new Hyrule Warriors game.
Joined
If you've
hands
not
with the
played
Hylians,
Hyrule Warriors,
who
these
dwelled
games
on
are
the
incredibly
surface.
fun.
Their
They
union
got me
led to a
interested in
great and
playing
prosperous
Musu games
kingdom.
in general. Like, I always thought Dynasty Warrior games
But in
were
time,
super
A terrible
brain dead.
evil arose.
I didn't realize they actually had some swag in them.
A war was
So
fought to
I'm very
vanquish this
curious to
evil,
see how they
one
pull
which
this one
future
off.
generations would call
I'm also curious to see where this fits in the Zelda
Imprisoning Earth.
timeline.
Perhaps you truly have traveled back in time.
So that's Hyrule Castle? Then that must mean this really is the past.
I mean, this is undoubtedly the coolest. Like, if you haven't played a Hyrule Warriors game, it's just the coolest way to experience Zelda combat, period. Oh, wait a second. That's something I didn't notice. They showed us the whole cast, or at least the base cast. Let's go ahead and pause on that next time it comes up. We see her right there. That's like our, looks like our witch style character. She has a little golem she summoned. All right, that's cool. Zelda's playstyle is way different than it was in the last Hyrule Warriors, which I like a lot. All right, so here's what we got. Oh my goodness. I didn't realize this before. So we got Goron, Rito, looks like Zora, and Gerudo. And then you have the old king and queen. And they've all got these like these masks on. That's pretty cool. Also, the masks, by the way, represent their mech, the Guardian mech in the future, right? You got elephant mech over the Zoras, right? You got the mechs that they eventually will represent, that the heroes will inhabit later. So this is really a Breath of the Wild, like real Breath of the Wild lore. That's pretty cool. It also kind of goes to show like what happened in that gap that when Zelda went back, and how long Zelda's been there before Link shows up. Because this Zelda is still the same Zelda that she's been locked away for 100 years in the Breath of the Wild timeline, waiting for the champion to wake up the first time. So this Zelda doesn't, she doesn't really age. That Triforce is pretty cool. So how far in the past did she go before Link shows up there too? All I'm saying. This is cool. But I didn't realize these lore drops here. That's really nice. I'm really curious to see what they do with that, because I mean, I love Zelda lore. I love Breath of the Wild having so much, just like, I guess you would call it, Easter eggs, but to me, it just shows how much care is put into the game. And one thing I love about Nintendo, and this is where Nintendo is very different than Disney, is that Nintendo honors its past, right? Nintendo loves the games they've made, and they are very reverential to their past success and don't take it for granted. So I'm very happy with this. I'm definitely buying this game. There's no way I'm not going to buy it. The Age of Imprisonment. Yeah. Merry Christmas. I'm getting that.
That was Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment.
You got to convince me to do it.
It's
Oh, okay. So, you know, it sucks, right? Because I want to kind of speed through it a little bit, but there's so many bangers here. Like we're about to get to the Nintendo Online next.
Nintendo Switch Online on Switch 2. And with Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack,
Gotta have that.
you can enjoy a new membership benefit exclusively on Switch 2.
Show me.
Please take a look at this.
We know. Like when I saw this,
Nintendo
This
Switch Online
console
Plus expansion pack will be
affected.
getting
If you're a
new
millennial,
classic
this
game
console
library
affected you.
exclusive to Nintendo
That
Switch
control,
2.
seeing that controller
Nintendo GameCube,
evokes
originally
something in your
released in
soul when you
2001.
see this.
Here are the titles that will be available.
This is something I
at
don't
launch.
think that
A
a
Legend
lot of young
Zelda
people
game that
nowadays
looks like a
understand
cartoon come to
is
life
how
through cell shading.
important GameCube
Controlling the
was.
wind using a mysterious baton, Link sets
And also, I know this is the HD version, but just look at how this art style still works today. There are indie games that look worse than this, right? Like this game is like 20 years old, older than 20 years old, and it still just looks incredible.
Great Sea, The Legend of Zelda, The
Look
Wind
at
Waker,
that, man.
transcending history and the world.
Bro, I wish that these were actually playable online, like with matchmaking. Like they're playable online with friends, but online with matchmaking, I would love to play Soul Calibur 2 online in a
A
ranked
tale
setting.
of souls and swords eternally
I'm
retold.
so happy this game
In
is
this
here.
3D,
I spent so many hours on Soul Calibur
each fighter
2,
comes
just
equipped
single
with a
player, just by
different weapon,
myself,
and Link,
collecting all the
Legend
weapons
of
and
Zelda
stuff.
series enters the fray.
Link
Soul
is actually
Calibur
busted in
2.
this game, though.
Experience a world of white knuckle.
This is the most impossible racing game ever. And like I'm stopping on each of these because hopefully if anyone sees this video, they will know how much like we cared about these games, how they're missing out on life that they haven't had a great F-Zero game. Now, the F-Zero Battle Royale game was awesome. Love that game. But the fact that you guys haven't had this game
racing
saddens me.
speeds over
Like
2,000
if you like
kilometers per hour,
Trackmania, if you like
30
crazy
machines,
control,
put
like
it all on the line.
games where you go fast and have to keep your
Races.
speed up and maintain control of a
Featuring
very
the series'
difficult to
first
command vehicle,
machine
play this
customization
game.
and story mode. Get ready to experience F-Zero GX.
Even the story mode's impossible.
In games that support multiplayer, up to 4 can play together locally or online.
Yep. Play online with friends. I love it. Thank
Enjoy
you.
these
Thank
classic
you.
games with clearer image quality and higher resolution than the original releases. You can also check the controls for each title and customize them to your liking. More titles will be added in the future.
Yeah. These are kind of like things you'd
Nintendo-
expect. Like so my wish
Enjoy these
list of
classic games
titles,
with clearer image quality and
things that I
higher
want to
resolution than
see
the
on
original
that
releases.
list that aren't there now.
You can also check the controls for each title and customize
It's kind of
them to your
esoteric, really,
liking.
because when I grew up with
titles
GameCube,
will
I
be
made it a
added in-
point to always buy really weird games. What you see for the most part is a lot of first party stuff and things that are like, I guess you'd say more on brand, like Chibi Robo, right? Which is still pretty much, it's not first party, but it definitely wasn't exclusive.
Nintendo
What I would see as like what I like to see on Nintendo GameCube's library, one of which is not going to happen, which would be Phantasy Star Online. That's not going to happen. Now, if they remade Phantasy Star Online so we could play classic Phantasy Star on Nintendo servers, that would be awesome. I want that, especially if they do like Card Revolution as well. I'd lose my mind. right? I would love to have classic Phantasy Stars so we don't have to play on, Affinia anymore. Aside from that, there are some games that people have not played that I think they should. One of which being Bomberman Generations is probably the best Bomberman title we've had ever. There's a lot going on in that game, and it's tons of fun. It has great online. Well, not have great online, but it'll have great multiplayer as well. I'd love to see Eternal Darkness. I'd love to see Resident Evil. Not RE4, because we've got an RE4 remake already out, but I'd love to see the GameCube exclusive Resident Evil. We can ask for Melee. I'd like to think we'd have Melee. I don't think we'll get Melee though. But we'll see. They've surprised us before. They haven't given us Smash on N64. My thought is that if they gave us Melee, they would probably be when a new Smash comes out, and then they would give us Smash 64 and Melee. But I don't think we're going to new Smash Brothers for the next 10 years or so. I don't think we're going to new Smash Brothers for a long time. Not until this generation of kids totally grows up.
GameCube, Nintendo Classics, the Switch 2 exclusive.
But yeah, I'm
game
definitely getting
library
this controller.
coming to Nintendo Switch Online.
I'm
plus
definitely getting
expansion
this controller.
pack. Launches the same day as the hardware's release.
I'll get 4. I don't
And
care.
A
I'm a grown
dedicated
man.
controller designed after the original GameCube controller will also be released. It can connect wirelessly.
Yep.
Quickly access Game Chat.
Getting it. Don't care.
The Nintendo GameCube controller, exclusively available for Nintendo Switch Online members, will also be available the same day
See
as
what's next
Nintendo
here.
Switch 2.
Don't care about Deltarune. Borderlands
Whether
with
you're
mouse controls
familiar
will be
with the
fun.
games or
Civ
haven't played
7.
them
I mean, Civ 7. Now that they have mouse controls, this is actually probably worth getting on a Nintendo console. If you absolutely cannot get it on PC, don't have a strong PC, and you love Civ. This also means that if they're comfortable putting this game on to Nintendo Switch, getting the mouse controls mapped, and it's satisfactory, if they can consider shipping it, other lower quality 4X games should be going to the Switch. I think you'll see a renaissance of 4X games, the 4-axis games on the Switch as well.
Hi, I'm Lionel Jinx.
Yeah, all the normies are
Our
coming
final
over. We get
announcement
you.
today
All right.
is that
Ooh,
WWE 2K
what I want to see here.
is coming to Nintendo.
Freaking Gungeon, bro. This Gungeon looks so good. Enter the Gungeon 1. If you haven't played it, it's one of the most fun, like basically one-shot roguelikes you can just get with a friend and just have like a fun bullet hell game. And like, it's so good. The fact that we could potentially get a 3D version that looks like this, just it's driving me insane thinking about it. I want that game so bad. They don't care about Star Seeker. Don't care about Cyberpunk. Final Fantasy VII remake is all right, I guess, for the sake that I kind of feel like we should have already had it. Is what I kind of feel like. But it couldn't go on the Switch because the Switch just could not handle it. Switch 2, but it can handle it even at this kind of clearly degraded quality. Is fine. It means we also could potentially get Rebirth on here, and maybe you see more Final Fantasy projects coming to the Switch. There aren't just like remakes of the 8, 7, and 8. Oh yeah, this is when they show us all the other stuff. So yeah, Kunitsugami should be a Switch game. It fits the profile of a Switch game. Hollow Knight, I have my original Hollow Knight on Switch anyway. This is no surprise. Yeah, sure. Give us a Harvest Moon style game. Of course, doesn't matter. Yeah, sure. This looks like fun. I'm glad they're doing that one. Koei Tecmo needs to get more stuff on the Switch anyway. Obviously, Switch game. I'm surprised they didn't mention this. This is one of the most played Switch games I play. Like, if you ever go to like a game bar and they have this, you're playing this. Like, the fact that there's a Puyo Puyo Tetris 2 we don't know is kind of crazy to me. Went out at launch, of course. Never played a Rune Factory game. We already knew this game was coming out anyway for the Switch. Yeah. No one wants that. See, I could play Nobunaga's Ambition. I'm down with that. That looks fun. This game might go under the radar for a lot of people. This looks like a really fun game. I love Shadow Labyrinth as a concept. I actually might own Raidou Remastered on the Switch 2 for the sake that it's an RPG I could take with me. And the fact of playing a action style Persona game, or not Persona, an action based Shin Megami Tensei game, is it seems like a lot of fun. Okay. Okay. Of course, Fortnite can be there for day one. Actually, for work. So here's something I didn't understand. Oh, wait 1 second. Okay, fine. So I didn't get the Arcade Archives Ridge Racer. I didn't get what the appeal was supposed to be of that. Because is it just that we're gonna get like, is someone just remaking the original Ridge Racer, and they're just gonna sell that single? Like I've never heard of these Arcade Archives people before. I mean, it looks great. I love classic games, so I'll probably play it. I just don't know what the angle is there. They should have led with this. If they led with Professor Layton, I mean, it was already a buy. The fact that we get to play with Layton, not Layton's daughter, but like Layton himself, full 3D game. These games are incredible, story-driven, fun experiences, tons of brain teasers. It's great to just chill and occupy your mind with like no stress, but also like really getting that aha feeling over and over again. If you haven't played a Layton game, find a way to play a Layton game. Love that. Don't care about Tamagotchis.
We've shown a lot of games so far.
Yes, you have.
The next game will be the last from our publishing and development partners.
Okay.
Please take a look.
And in case you didn't want news during the stream, this is not a react, right? So I've already seen this earlier today, but I will be commentating on like some of the things I think are important. Like, for example, this game, really important. At first, I thought this was like a Castlevania.
I give you my blood.
Mm-hmm.
I give you my life.
Of course you do.
O wheel, and transport him to a night of moonlight.
So at first, I thought this was a Bloodborne game. I was like, okay, is that supposed to be your hunter's mark or something? Like, what's this supposed to be? But I was very surprised by what I saw. First, when I saw that, I was very surprised. And when I saw the train, I was very surprised. First of all, the fact that there's any real technology, even if it's just combustion technology in this FromSoft game, it's like, what is this? Art style's great. Give me Bloodborne PS1 vibes. That guy's just cool. For some reason, I get like Dung Eater vibes from that guy, even though he's more of an Onion Knight guy. Yeah, that jetpack thing threw me off for sure. Like this is like, what is that, right? Like, freaking, what is this, bro? This is literally like Termina Field, the moon crashing down. We don't have any context for some of this stuff. We just know it looks freaking crazy. It's like freaking Majora's Mask, Bayonetta, freaking whatever, comp. That's cool. That threw me off like crazy. That's one thing that I find to be very strange about this game is it looks like you can move around like crazy. You got guys using jetpacks, guys jumping like crazy. You usually don't have that much freedom of movement in FromSoft games, except for like Sekiro where you can like wrap around. Summon the homies.
Close your eyes and contemplate now the moon, as befits the soon to depart.
Oh wow.
I pray that you are able, carrier of blood.
I thought we met a guy like him before. So this part is weird, right? So this is a player character, right? This is a player character that clearly is like bloody roaring. Let's see, this dude is right there, jams his sword down, freaking transforms into a dinosaur. See, his feet are still there. His feet are still there. And he runs on his human feet. he's still wearing Stacey Adams. He runs on his Stacey Adams and just starts eating you. That's so wild, man. That's what am I to Advent Rising?
The moon tears will flow for one, and one alone.
See, that dude's gonna be. This will probably be one of the sickest fights in the whole game because he's wearing pajamas, right? This man is just. He came out wearing pajamas and he's blind and he's going to destroy you. You're gonna lose. You're gonna die like 10 times to a guy with an axe and pajamas because it's always the most minimalist dude that's insane. Like Horalu beats you naked, right? Like the Dusk Bloods. This game. What I thought was so cool and so out of pocket for me is the fact that we get a Square game. First of all, let me pause right there because I've been trying to figure out what the frick this is the whole time. We're getting a FromSoft game. We're getting a FromSoft game exclusive to Nintendo. We haven't had an exclusive FromSoft game with Nintendo since probably Lost Kingdoms. So that's nuts. Secondly, what is this winged rat thing? So my thought was that this was the woman from the beginning that perhaps she morphs into this thing, or maybe like she becomes like your spirit guide or something. It doesn't seem menacing, but I'll just take another look at the beginning of this because like it looks like she's lying down, like maybe she's lying down on the freaking rat looking thing. See some kind of animal she's lying on.
My life. Turn, O wheel.
And like there is some kind of looks like some kind of animal behind her.
Transport him to a night of moonlight.
Unless that's just a hairy dude.
To humanity's very dusk.
I mean, at the minimum, right? You see the symbol right there. And then you go back up to what's the name right here. And you got the same symbol here on the wing. I don't know. Maybe that's your girl. Maybe your girl's a winged rat now. At least you're not maidenless. I mean, I'm just excited. I'm just excited that it exists, right? I want to know everything about it. I'm definitely going to own it. Definitely going to play it. I'm
Games
pumped.
director Hidetaka Miyazaki will share more details about the game, so please check it out when it's available.
April 4th.
That's all from our publishing and development
Yep.
partners. We'd like to thank the developers who appeared today, as well as our publishing and development
Oh,
partners.
you know what? We got to go to the next thing. This
The
is this
Nintendo
is
Switch
this is
port.
where I lost my mind earlier. Look at this. Look at this. This is where I popped off earlier. So I see, okay, stars falling. Look like a warp star. Oh, then it spun like that. I'm like, oh, are they trying to do a Super Mario 64? Like what? Then I thought, oh, it's Kirby. Oh, it's Kirby. Okay. Okay, we got a Kirby game. Try and get that star to work. Okay. And then what happened? Let's see, what happened was once we got to this angle, I was like, it's Air Ride. It's Air Ride. It's Air Ride. We have waited 20 years for this game, y'all. We've waited 20 years for this game. If you are under the age of 20 years old, you've missed out on one of the most fun and carefree gaming experiences you could ever have. It doesn't matter if you think you're some kind of edgelord, hardcore, whatever. Kirby's Air Ride is just one of the most fantastic games ever. Of course, you got Sakurai. Of course, Sakurai's on it. Now, that does mean something that I think, of course, like, you know, HAL Laboratories always done this stuff, right? Sakurai is not outside of his wheelhouse to work on a game like this, but with the way that Sakurai's development ideology has grown over the years, that could mean you guys get a very balanced experience compared to the first Kirby's Air Ride. You could get a much more balanced, much more fun and competitive experience. My hope for Kirby's Air Ride 2 is that they keep City Trial. City Trial is the most fun mode in Kirby's Air Ride. It's a mode where you and your 3 friends are running around a city, right? Going different routes, just a big playground. And all you're trying to do is find power-ups. But the thing is, these power-ups you're finding, you don't know if they're going to be useful for the next game. So you can get bonuses to your speed, your control, your movement, your ability to glide, your ability to boost, your ability to steer, weapons, whatever. But you don't know if that's going to be useful for the next game because the next game is random. So if you get a bunch of stuff that was speed boosts, but the next game is a glide challenge, and you don't even have a warp star that can glide, well, you're going to lose the glide challenge. So the guys picking up glide points the whole time is going to do amazing, right? So that was the most fun game. You could play City Trial all day. There's all types of Easter eggs and bosses and things that show up in City Trial. I mean, that was the most fun way to play the game. And also the game was pretty freaking impossible to collect everything. And there were so many collectibles, so many different warp stars to get. Like, you're in for a treat just for the existence
Kirby Air
of that
Ride,
game.
which originally
Like, oh my
released on
gosh.
the Nintendo GameCube system over 20 years ago, is getting a
Over
brand
20
new
years,
game.
bro.
We hope you're looking forward to Kirby
I am
Air
looking forward to
Riders,
it. You don't gotta tell me
directed
nothing.
by Masahiro Sakurai.
You can tell me nothing.
Next is our last trailer for today. Please take a look.
Now, I thought Air Ride was the last. I would be happy with that. Then they show me this. And when I first looked at this, I was like, what is going to be? I don't recognize these animals, or not animals, these rocks with eyes and stuff. What is this? And then once I saw that thing said Ingot Isle, I was like, wait a second. Wait a second. This game looks so satisfying. Like, just so you guys know, we haven't had this Donkey Kong like ever, right? Whether you play Donkey Kong Country or Donkey Kong 64, this version of Donkey Kong, this kind of like Wreck-It Ralph boss character Donkey Kong, really hasn't existed since 1985, right? So we're getting a fully realized take on Donkey Kong that isn't just a hairy Mario. Like Donkey Kong 64, Donkey Kong is just a hairy Mario, right? Like, that's not a bad thing, right? Because the game was a Mario-style exploration adventure game. This time, Donkey Kong has his own thing. It's all about smashing stuff, and it's so cool. This game looks like it's gonna be so satisfying to play, and it's got callback portions, barrel blast, side-scroll portions, golden bananas, baby. This game is going to be absolutely sick. and I'm so happy for it. And I just love this character of Donkey Kong. We're getting a real character with this guy. And the fact that he has like the Wreck-It Ralph overalls to kind of like, you know, take us back a little. I dig it. This is going to be absolutely insane. And just think about the fact that we haven't had a Donkey Kong 3D adventure exploration game since Donkey Kong 64. And that was the first one and the only one. Right? We've had other Donkey Kong Country games.
That was a brand
We
new
haven't
3D
had
platforming
this
action
again,
game
and
starring
this
Donkey
is going to
Kong
be so
called
good.
Donkey Kong
If you haven't played a game like this,
with
especially if you're a
incredible
younger
strength,
person,
smash
you
through
owe it to yourself,
enemies,
even if you think you're too
walls,
old for this game, to try it
the
out.
ground,
Because yes,
and
it will
just
probably
about
be
every
easier for you,
way
but it will
through
occupy your
massive
time for a
underground
long
world.
time, and it'll be so much
More
fun.
details will be shared in the future. We
Like,
hope
this
you're
is the
looking
kind of
forward
game
to
that just brings you joy. Not everything
Thank you
has
for
to be
watching so far.
a hardcore power fantasy. Sometimes games are just bringing you joy.
To recap,
But yeah,
Nintendo
guys,
Switch 2
this
launches
is
on June
that was basically it for the direct. I spent way more time on the direct than I wanted to, but when you're breaking down an hour of content, I think it's pretty cool that we got it done so fast. A couple more things I wanted to talk about. I think we still have about 30 minutes left in the stream before StreamYard kicks me off. So I wanted to tell you guys about Tales of the Underworld, right? This is the next thing here. And I already I filmed a react to this earlier. I don't know if it's gonna work. Oh no, it didn't work because I didn't have sound working. So we're gonna try this now. Let me see if I can go remove this. Stop the screen. We're gonna present share screen. Is to Tales of the Underworld official trailer.
Just do as I say.
What's so wild
Never can
is that this dropped with like no prompting, right? Like no one knew this was happening. This was going on at the same time as the Nintendo Direct. Oh, like an hour after Nintendo Direct, this thing pops up. And the first thing I see, which gives me some hope, is clearly CG, clearly Clone Wars era droids, right? So we're looking at expansion of Clone
be
Wars
too cautious
content.
with strangers out here.
And Clone Wars is one of my favorite
Then
Star
again-
Wars animated, Star Wars content, particularly animated Clone Wars.
You're
I
no
watched all of it, and
stranger,
I liked it very much.
Lady Ventress.
I actually like Asajj Ventress's look here. She still looks just as dangerous. Not bald anymore. Not bald no more. But I dig it. We'll see how this goes.
We got a problem here. Just saw him right in.
May the force be with y'all.
What's the situation?
It's my boy. My boy Cad Bane. Of course. I'm not gonna go, negative with this. There's some things that are gonna happen in this trailer that I have feelings about. We'll talk about those feelings after.
He was your best friend.
Things have changed. You took everything from me.
I gotta say, it is good that
are
they're
you?
doing something
I was Count Dooku's lead assassin.
Jedi storyline.
I don't want that life anymore.
Okay. What we got? An Inquisitor
Bane?
situation, more likely.
No one needs to die.
And off next.
Get them.
Okay. That part. So a couple things to talk about because I gotta actually commentate on this or else I'm gonna get pulled, right? So first thing, the standoff here, Savant, that's what Asajj Ventress, she got the yellow saber out. That was really weird to me that she's got a yellow saber. And also, she only has one lightsaber. Asajj Ventress fights with 2 lightsabers. So just having the one is very strange to me. They're positioning them as both being bounty hunters. So she's saying she's a bounty hunter, and that Bane, of course, has always been a bounty hunter. Apparently, she's after this kid, who, when you look at the previous screens, now that I'm seeing it a second time, we see that this kid has basically made himself a kind of outpost, right? Like from the very beginning, we see this place. This is where the kid's held up at, right? There's these
Never can be too
droids.
cautious with strangers.
Inactive droids, and he's held up in this place right here, middle of nowhere, with some inactive droids.
Up here.
Is fire on Ventress.
You're no stranger, Lady Ventress.
We got a problem here.
So,
Just saw right in.
What's that?
Who are you?
I was Count Dooku.
Oh, before this, but basically, he fires on Ventress. Not there. When does it happen?
What's the situation?
He was your best friend.
Things have changed. You took everything from me.
Let's put it right here.
Who are you?
I was Count Dooku's
Oh, anyway.
lead assassin.
There, yeah. So they actually skipped around a little bit. So yeah, that's presumably the kid from inside of his basically held up position, and he's shooting at her, probably because he's on the run from Inquisitors, being that he's a Force sensitive, but he seems to be pretty savvy, right? Like he's got a setup with some droid gargoyles, basically, right? He's shooting at her from a window. She like right, and jams him up in the doorway, which is actually pretty sick. I liked a lot of the animation in this, even though it's Clone Wars like style. It's still very, very well animated. You'll see some stuff later on the trailer where there's like some really cool chase scenes. Right, stabs the droid.
I don't want that life anymore.
Says I'm a good girl now. Says, oh, you're a good girl. Cool. They get attacked. Probably Inquisitor looking for the boy, because as we see in some future scenes, boy has a lightsaber.
No one needs to die.
No one needs to die. These that's the future. You can only die.
Get them.
See, kid just cut a dude. This is something I thought was really strange for them to do in Star Wars. We don't usually see this happen in any Star Wars content where a lightsaber is used on someone that does not have a lightsaber. A human being doesn't have a lightsaber. Like these may, based on the era, they may be clones, but I believe these are simply Imperial stormtroopers. And that kid is ready to rumble immediately and freaking cuts a stormtrooper with a saber. That guy's dead. If they say that he just like cut the weapon open or something, I just sliced up the tip of the rifle, just the tip. That's no, this guy's dead. Lightsabers. What I thought was crazy was that it impacted it all. Like that guy should just be sliced up like freaking Darth Maul was just sliced up. And she's like, "Oh, why did it come to this?" This animation here is beautiful. We knew that was coming. The question is, does this happen before or after the stormtrooper thing? I think it happens before the stormtrooper thing, and they escape, and then the stormtroopers are after them next, right? Because the Empire wants that kid. Clearly, we know why. This is the special effects here are actually really kick-ass. That's okay, man.
For what you did.
All right, we got 2 Jedi on the run from the Empire. We got this going on.
This revenge. I hope it was worth it. It will be.
Tales of the Underworld. Will make sure with y'all. All right, so let me go ahead and put myself back on screen real fast. Remove it. I'll stop this. I'll stop the screen. So, well, some things I thought about when I first saw that, and I want to know. I mean, let me know if you guys think the same thing. You know, depending upon if you're on the chat or if you see this in the comments later. If you think the same thing I think about this, which is that I feel like Asajj should be dead. I think Asajj Ventress should be dead. I don't know who the kid's supposed to be. I know it's not Kanan. So I don't know who it is. I don't know if it's someone that they're going to use for like one of those other games that have just become canon where they're still Jedi in the age of the rebellion. I don't think that there should be more Force users, especially not new ones introduced, because a couple things happen to the OT when you introduce new Force users. The first thing is you imply incompetence, further incompetence, I guess you say, on Yoda and Obi-Wan, because Yoda and Obi-Wan know there are only 2 Jedi that can save them. They can defeat Darth Vader. There are only 2. Only 2 people that could become Jedi and defeat Darth Vader. One's Luke, one's Leia. That's all they know about. Right? And it's not that that's all they know. These people are now one with the Force. So they, when it comes to things of the Force, know everything there is to know. Like, this is it. Right? And so when we say, well, actually, no, there were more. There was Ahsoka, potentially Ezra, potentially this kid, maybe even Asajj Ventress. It's like, well, then why did we need Luke at all? Why send 1 Jedi when we can recruit 4 other Jedi, 5 including his sister, potentially, to go do this for us? Secondly, you have to ask, where were these people during the OT? Why is Luke the only Jedi in the rebellion during the original trilogy? Why? You know how much more firepower they would have? They had 5 Jedi out there storming freaking battlefields. They would have had to flee Hoth if they had 5 Jedi. Right? Like this, it doesn't. To me, it doesn't make very much sense. Why? And I know Hoth's like an example, right? They probably still flee Hoth because Hoth they were just outmatched in Hoth. But like, my point is that you either are you're diluting the power and impact of the original trilogy, when at the end of that we have the only light for good in the universe in Luke Skywalker, because he's the only person that in the universe, in the galaxy, that is effectively a Jedi, right? And Darth Vader, who is the Sith Lord, and along with Palpatine. Like, so it's 2v1 on the evil, two on the evil side, 1 on the good side, potentially Leia if he fails. And that's all they've got. And Luke prevails, right? He defeats Vader. And then Vader has his change of heart and defeats Palpatine, then dies, and then the cancer, that is the dark side of the Force, that is the Sith, are removed from the universe and balance is restored, right? Because the Sith are a cancer on the galaxy. So you have that, but imagine, if you didn't need Luke, right? You have Ahsoka, she's still there. Ezra's fine. Ezra might make it back, right? And then you look at like Rebels, and you see like at the very end of Rebels, Ahsoka shows up to take Sabine on an adventure to find Ezra, and you're like, Ahsoka, like, where the hell were you? We just killed your master and tore down the Empire. We could have used like 1 other person. We had Lando Calrissian fly the Millennium Falcon because Hera Syndulla wasn't there. Like, it's just mind blowing. It's just mind blowing. And I know they try to backfill all this stuff. They say, oh yeah, Rex was in that battle with Han, and I'm like, yeah, but you had Mandalorians, you had Jedi. And so this is, to me, just another Jedi that they're going to have to either snuff out, this new kid. They're either kill this kid off, or kill off Ventress, or they've got to find a good reason why during the most important event in the history of the galaxy that all these lightsaber wielding Force users just decided to not show up. And that's all I gotta say. Like, the show actually looks like it'd be really good. I honestly don't even like Inquisitors. I don't like that as a concept because that waters down the impact of the Sith, right? Like the purpose of this, there's a couple of reasons for this rule of two. Not just that they're stronger for the sake of there being no one else to challenge them, no one else to share power with, but also for the fact that there is no one that understands or comprehends their power. They killed the only religion that understands them. They've genocided the Jedi. No one else in the known universe can even comprehend their power. That's what's important about them being who they are. If there's like a half dozen people in the universe that comprehend their power and just are choosing to do nothing, then you have the second worst effect, which is that all these new Jedi are cowards. They're all cowards. They're all useless, and they're just hiding out in parts of the galaxy because they aren't going to join the rebellion. The rebellion exists. They're making moves. They blew up a Death Star. We see the rebellion working. We see these great battles that have taken place, and the Jedi that exist that could make all the difference because their opponent is literally 2 other Jedi are deciding to just like, no, I don't want to get involved. So either every Jedi you bring into any prequel content has to die, or they live the rest of their life a coward. And if they live the rest of their life a coward, then it also, by the same token, dilutes the impact of Luke Skywalker. And honestly, so much of Disney Star Wars has been about either avoiding or destroying the original trilogy's heroes. So I don't know. But for the sake of Tales of the Underworld, I can tell you it looks damn good. It's got some of my favorite characters in it. It plays off Filoni's Clone Wars series, which I liked a lot. And I hope it's faithful, but I hope it ends well. And I hope it entertains. You know, I'm not going to be purchasing a Disney Plus membership to do that. I am directly opposed to Disney. I think they are an incredibly toxic organization, and that they should not, Disney Plus membership should not be owned. But once they take down some of their more disgusting content aimed at corrupting children, maybe if they make some good strides towards taking down some of their disclaimer labels on some of their old movies and start to embrace their past and say that, you know, the art produced by Disney was good. And maybe when they start to have some courage, you know, I might give them some money, but I'm not going to pay just to have this in X-Men 97. Like, no, that's not worth my money. All right. So we've gone through Nintendo. We've gone through Star Wars. Let's go over this week's comics. So really this week and a half. So some of these I've read, some of these I have not read. And we'll go over everything I bought from my local comic shop this week. So first, I bought Hush 2. Bought Hush 2 issue 1. Haven't read this one yet. Mainly because I just finished all of the first Hush stories yesterday. Right. So I just finished Hush yesterday. So ready to see what happens next. Very excited for that one. Absolute Green Lantern came out today. I bought it. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. This one, I have feelings about this one. Let's see. This isn't my most recent Geiger. I bought the next issue after this one for Geiger. I mean, I have I've already read this one. I haven't read the second one yet. I have Zatanna 1. I haven't bought the next Zatanna just yet, but I actually like the art, at least for Zatanna 1. I'm going to probably buy 2, but one thing I want to do with Zatanna is I want to buy the last essential run of Zatanna. And one thing I like to do with comics, because I'm a very new comic book reader, I've only very recently gotten into comic books, is I like to read the kind of essential, the most powerful, most well-known stories, most well-known runs. And then from those, I'll try the new stuff, right? Because I think you can't really go wrong when you read some of the most prized content that's come out, you know, and to get a understanding of how this character has existed, whatever, in canon. But Zatanna was a lot of fun. But I'm gonna slow down on her and try to get some more of her past. I picked up this Frank Miller Daredevil Born Again run. I've wanted to get into Daredevil for quite a long time. I've always liked the idea of this hero. And I decided to take the plunge with this book here. I understand that it's in basically the middle of the Frank Miller run, but I decided I would give it a shot, use it as a jumping on point, and I can always backfill with earlier stuff or buy the large omnibus when I'm ready to. But for $15, I feel like it's a steal to get into something. Also, one of my favorite things about these volumes is this right here. It's a spine, right? You can put this on a shelf. I think that this is the single reason that manga crushes comics, is that you can put your manga all on a shelf. And sometimes they make a little picture as they go across, or different little spine arts. For comics, this cannot go on a shelf. It just flops around, right? It's disposable. So a lot of times when I finish my comics, I give them, I have a friend who's got a kid. I'll give him the floppies after I'm done with them. I bought Redcoat Volume 1 because I bought Redcoat the second issue was my first get into it. I thought it was issue 1 when I bought it because for some reason, Ghost Machine, they don't put actual issue numbers on their things. They put dates on their things, which drives me absolutely crazy because I never know when I'm reading a number 1, right? So got the volume for that one just to make sure the whole story, I think there's issues 1 through 7 are in this volume. And it also, once again, has my favorite part of any book. It's got this on it. It's got the spine on it. Decided to get me the Flash one. Of all the Absolute comics I've read, this is my favorite one so far. It just has a very typical but compelling beginning to a comic. We see some disjointed structure as far as the storytelling. The big event has occurred. We're kind of backfilling the pieces. There's a lot of confusion, but it's not confusion. It's not confusing to the reader. It's more or less reflecting Wally's confusion as a lot of things have just happened and all he can do is run away from it. He doesn't really understand his powers just yet. You have some reimagined villains that look actually kind of cool, like the new King Cold and Boomerang look really cool. The death of Barry Allen is interesting here. Wally's relationship with his dad is interesting here. And Wally West is the Flash I've always known. I've never really known Barry Allen Flash. For the longest time, I thought that the Flash on the DCAU Justice League was Barry Allen, but it was Wally the whole time. I think I was confused because in Young Justice, which I at one point thought was an extension of the DCAU Justice League, it is not. It's a whole separate show. In Young Justice, Barry Allen is the Flash and Wally is Kid Flash. Well, in this one, you've got just Wally as the Flash, and it looks really cool. This art is pretty kick-ass. And while there isn't a ton of action that occurs in issue 1, I will be buying issue 2 because I just like it. It hasn't done anything to offend yet. It hasn't done anything to tell me it's not worth reading yet, right? It hasn't anything to go crazy yet. But at the same time, it's compelling. It's classic storytelling for a comic origin, and I like it. Martian Manhunter, I got this one as well. I don't know what to think about this, right? Like I'm gonna have to read it a second time to really know what's going on, because this is a very, very strange comic, right? Like, because at first, right, I don't know if this is like him or if it's a human that's being like infected by John Johns, or if he always has been a Martian, or this whole like thing about like smelling people's thoughts. And it's just like, this is it's very artistic. It's very artistic. If you are the kind of person that enjoys these kind of psychedelic, existential, trippy kinds of things, and you want to meditate on a piece of art, this is very artistic, but to me, it isn't giving me a reason to buy the second one because the first one doesn't really have any events in motion that make me care to know what will happen next. It just kind of is really explorational of this person's mind as he's coping with whatever has happened. We don't even know how like this is going on. So I guess if there is a mystery as to who he even is at this point, but I gotta say it's just not it's just not my cup of tea. I wouldn't read the second one. I know a lot of people have said they would, but maybe we're a different audience. I don't know. And this is the Geiger I meant to show. I haven't read this Geiger yet, but I will be reading it probably today when I log off. But yeah, so the one I wanted to talk about, and this upset me a little bit, was the treatment of the Green Lantern in Absolute Green Lantern. Now, this book, I can tell you, I'm learning with the Absolute comics, and I'm trying to be less and less overtly negative. One of my first YouTube videos, actually my first YouTube video ever, I did one about Absolute Batman, my thoughts about it. And I stand by everything I said. Absolute Batman is just it's basically Marxist kind of garbage, right? It's Batman versus the system and how every villain is only a villain because they'll get paid. You know, it's really, really money is the love of money is the root of all evil personified in the comic series. And I found it pretty reprehensible in that regard. You know, I've heard some other folks, I listen to Thinking Critical a lot, and he would talk about, you know, him in on one of his shows, he said, you know, it's big, dumb Batman. And I would thought of it as being like, yeah, he is big and dumb for Batman. He's very dumb. And the guy's like, yeah, he does all kinds of things Batman would never do. You know, he's big and stupid, and it's totally satirical. And you have to see it as a joke, because if you see it as serious, it's terrible. And so I thought about it that way. So I read through some of my Absolute Batman again, you know, as if it was just a joke, as if it was satire. And yeah, as satire, it works great. As satire, it works great. As something that's totally unserious, it works great. But therein lies the problem to me. If the Absolute universe is supposed to be a cohesive universe, we can't have some heroes that are meant to be taken seriously and some that are not, because this universe has real problems. People are dying, right? So my thought process is either this is all serious or it's all a joke. And this Green Lantern, if this is serious, this is a problem. This is not good. Now, if you are someone that doesn't take your stories too seriously, doesn't take your heroes too seriously, doesn't take the pantheon of the pop culture pantheon that is superherodom seriously, then that's fine. You don't have to. I do take it kind of seriously because being exposed to this, and once again being a new reader, I'm also exposed to it older, right? So I see a lot more meaning, existentially so, literarily so, in a lot of the heroes I read, because I'm not going to read something that isn't rich. It has nothing to it. But one thing that made me nervous about buying this book was at the end, they have this interview with Al Ewing section at the end. I read it in the end of Martian Manhunter, but it's also here in the end of Green Lantern 1. And he said, and this was the most alarming part, this interview with Al Ewing. The question was, what was most exciting to you about the opportunity to reinvent the Green Lantern mythos from the ground up? First of all, that question scares the living crap out of me, right? We've had the Green Lantern mythos reinvented before, but that was in Jeff Johns' iconic run, and I think that he basically established the best we're going to get for a Green Lantern mythos. But his answer was, I think, more alarming than the question, which was, I get to give readers a surprise. I get to have a readership that doesn't know what the Green Lantern is. He gets to have a readership that doesn't know what the Green Lantern is, doesn't know who the Green Lantern is, doesn't know the rules. That's not an opportunity that comes along very often to take a known property and make it unknown. That's a lot of fun. Well, Al Ewing got to have a lot of fun with the Green Lantern. So much fun, there is no lantern, there is no ring, there is no suit. And not knowing who the characters are is very prevalent. So I don't know if you're going to buy this book, but one thing I got to, if you know about the Green Lantern, right? And here's my experience with Green Lantern so far. I only have ever read Jeff Johns. It was my first comics I've gotten into. Both these omnibuses are what I've got so far. And I'm halfway through the second omnibus in the 3-part omnibus of everything Jeff Johns Green Lantern, right? So to me, this is Green Lantern, right? That's my perspective. Now, I did read a little bit of old stuff, right? I did read a little bit of old, like Silver Agey stuff. But this to me is Green Lantern is this right here. And that could be a very limited perspective, right? I read a little bit of Jeremy Adams, right? But that's post New 52, and a lot of things have happened since then. I'm going to focus on finishing my Jeff Johns run, but these books got me into comics. So I'm very sentimental about the Green Lantern. I very much like Hal Jordan as the Green Lantern. I also very much like, Kyle Rayner, Guy Gardner, and John Stewart. I love those characters. They're the backbone of these books, right? Let me like in this book, what they've done to those 4 characters. They haven't showed us Kyle Rayner yet, thank God. But the book starts with Jo Mullein, who's a brand new Lantern. She's one of the I hate to say it, but she's one of the, I guess you call them DEI lanterns from the New 52, where they, over the span of like 3 or 4 years, like doubled the amount of Earth lanterns, and every single one was a person of color or a woman. And it just seemed, yeah, you could say, well, Jeff Johns wrote some of that. I don't care. New 52, they restarted the universe, and it was a part of the all new, all different. It was the same thing with Marvel was making like Lady Thor and Black Captain America. Like they Miles Morales, all that stuff. It was all part of this thing to diversify the characters in comics as they were by race and gender, not examining, glorifying, or hyping up characters that previously existed. They already checked off those boxes. They had to add more lanterns, and the word most egregious being the Teen Lantern. I can't tolerate her existence. But the problem here is that they got Jo Mullein, who, sure, right? Like his reasoning for having Jo Mullein, I mean, he says so. Why he wants Jo Mullein instead of Hal, Guy, Kyle, or John Stewart. He wanted someone that could fulfill an active role in the story. Oh, not Hal, not the fighter pilot that breaks every rule and does whatever he wants to make sure that good wins the day. Is that I had characters from the Green Lantern mythos who could fulfill a horror-based role. I needed somebody who could act as a reader's eye, but also a person of action. Somebody who could make big active decisions, like Hal Jordan, Guy Gardner, or John Stewart, right? Like one of those guys that have made big active decisions for the past 20 years, 30 years. Is like, out of all the people who have worn a Green Lantern ring, Joe jumped forward to me as someone who really ticked every box I needed. I think he's ticking different boxes. with Jo Mullein. If anything, the opportunity for Jo Mullein is to actually make a character out of her that is fresh and different than who she is in current comics, because at least in me reading of her in Green Lantern Corps, she really isn't doing anything. So he just wanted her to do something. So some of the egregious things that happen in this book. One, you'll probably tell from the cover, I didn't know this was going to happen because I didn't recognize that this being Hal Jordan. This is Hal Jordan in the cover. And you could tell he looks much, much younger, much more flippant, much less serious, like he's never been in the military. And Hal Jordan is the Black Hand. Yeah. Hal Jordan is now the Black Hand. Not only is he the Black Hand, before he becomes the Black Hand, he is a collectibles seller. He buys toys and sells them. Calls himself a collectibles dealer, right? That doesn't sound like Hal Jordan at all. Hal Jordan, if anything, is a daredevil type person. He's rebellious. Ever since he was a child, all he wanted to do was fly planes, fly jets. He's very, very good with women, right? Very, very social. Hot, very hot tempered, right? Gets into fights. Like he is someone that his personality, and here's the thing: everyone else kept their personality. This Hal is a totally different person, and then he becomes the Black Hand. I mean, he just looks so scrawny and small and silly. Meanwhile, Jon Stewart basically preserved all of his personality traits and is even still an architect. They didn't even take his profession from him. So he gets to be an architect and keep all his personality traits, still be jacked. Hal has to be scrawny, a collectibles dealer, presumably has never done anything dangerous his whole life. It just fully diminished. It's absolutely insane. And for some reason, these people, having never known each other, this in this panel, you've got, I gotta show right here. You've got Joe Mullane, Jon Stewart, and Hal Jordan having lunch together. How? Why? Why would they know each other? The only thing that ties these people together in any other universe is that they're in the Green Lantern Corps. Hal and John are from different cities. Hal is from Coast City, presumably California. I believe John's on the East Coast, and they mentioned meeting up with guys from Baltimore. Like guys from Baltimore. Why would they know who Guy Gardner is? He should be a PE teacher, if anything, or a cop. He's from Baltimore, right? Like it doesn't make sense for them to know this. And now they're all located in Evergreen, Nevada. This place in Nevada. Now they're not even in anything that resembles any other Green Lantern setting, really. So I don't know. Maybe Evergreen, Nevada existed in New 52 or something as a thing. I don't care. The fact is, they shouldn't know. They shouldn't know who Guy Gardner is. Hal and John shouldn't know each other. Joe Mullane shouldn't know any of them, right? None of these people should know each other. And if they introduce Kal Rayner, I'm going to flip my shit. Because the only reason these people should know each other is because they served in the Corps together. Anyway, what happens is this Green Lantern symbol falls from the sky, and it just creates this giant green glow. And Hal touches it and becomes the Black Hand. Apparently, on the other side of that, Joe Mullane gets the power, becomes the Green Lantern, making Hal a villain, not just a villain, but like the most disgusting and egregious villain in Green Lantern lore. The Black Hand, after Secret Origins, the Black Hand is a necrophile. Like, he plays with dead bodies. He's a disgusting, terrible person. The Black Hand is so evil, Atrocitus was going to use him, of everyone else in the galaxy, as the ritual for as a ritual for his prophecy, because he's like, this is the most gross person possible. He's the perfect sacrifice. Right? He was sought out particularly that, and that's before he got powers. So the fact that Hal Jordan becomes the Black Hand, and not only is he a Black Hand, but he's a pussy as well, is crazy. And then all this started because they came into contact with Abin Sur. Remember, Abin Sur is the pink-skinned alien that crashes his ship and bestows the ring onto either Hal Jordan or Guy Gardner, based upon who's closest at the time in the old writings, or in Secret Origin is because Mogo directs the ring to Hal or whatever after he comes across the body. But this is Abin Sur now, whole different alien race. This is an unknown race. This is not anything we've seen before. Abin Sur is not part of the Green Lantern Corps. There is no Green Lantern Corps. He just descends as the Green Lantern and bestows upon Hal the power of the Black Hand. Basically, he has this weird black hole in his pocket, and is coming to grips with being basically a force of ultimate destruction and a madman. Kills a ton of innocent people, and then Joe Mullane shows up like, yo, what's going on? I got this cool Green Lantern power now. You good, bro? And that's what it is. She doesn't have, there's no ring, no core, and no oath. And it's just disgusting. But you know what? Some people have read this and like, this is great, right? Some people have read it. They're very excited. I'm not going to steal their joy, because this comic is designed It's not designed for me. It's not designed for people that like this big Jeff Johns book, right? It's not designed for people that liked pre-New 52 Green Lantern, or people that like Jeremy Adams Green Lantern. It's not designed for them. It's not designed for people that like Green Lanterns that have a core, responsibilities, or an oath. It's designed for people who don't know who the Green Lantern is, what the Green Lantern is, and don't know the rules. That way, if you have no attachment to any of these characters, if you don't like these characters, if you never heard of these characters, whoever I want to enjoy the story, the problem is, you could say, well, don't take it so seriously, right? Absolute Batman's not serious. Clearly, this isn't serious. No, this is dead serious, man. This book is serious, just like Absolute Superman's serious, just like Absolute Wonder Woman's serious, which actually is apparently isn't even that bad. I actually think it might be pretty good if I gave it another shot, because I stopped reading it, not because I didn't like it. I actually thought it was fine. I just stopped reading Absolute Wonder Woman because it said the origin was part 1 of 5. I was like, I need to read 5 books before I get to the story. But here I see 6 apparently as a new artist and is looking badass. So I might actually give Absolute Wonder Woman another shot. Flash is deadly serious. I don't know. It just seems like I'm supposed to take this seriously. And I'm like, if this is the direction you're going to, if this is and I only have about 2 minutes left in this stream before it shuts itself off. So I'm going to just end like this. If this is supposed to be the launching point for new comic book readers, the Absolute Universe, which you say it is, DC, this is a launching point. This is a starting point for new readers. These number ones in this Absolute Universe, they can start here. And this could be the part where they get in. Do you want people to see this as the Green Lantern? Do you want not even the Green Lantern? Because Joe Mullane, there's nothing wrong with Joe Mullane as a character. I don't care about Joe Mullane. Do you want people to see this as your Hal Jordan? Is this your Hal Jordan you want them to see? Do you want Hal Jordan to be remembered as the Black Hand? To be remembered as the most vile thing? Because if they look up the Black Hand after that, they're going to see, oh, what's the Black Hand? Oh, this necrophiliac. Right? Do you want Hal Jordan to be remembered as this necrophiliac? Well, he's not here, clearly, right? He's been cursed with this power. So he's not a necrophiliac, but the Black Hand is. So I don't know, man. If you want this to be the legacy of some of your most cherished characters, that they're just tarnished by this, that Superman is just basically a lumpen proletariat Marxist terrorist from another planet. If Batman's just some communist that punts babies or punts kids into an ocean, it steals motorcycles for no freaking reason, right? If the Martian Manhunter is just some psychedelic trip, right? If this is what you want people to remember your characters by, I mean, this isn't really onboarding. This is more like corruption to me. To me, it's more like you're getting people in intentionally because they're ignorant and telling, hey, this is what it is now, bro. Particularly, we have Green Lanterns that don't have a ring or an oath. The Green Lantern's oath is the point to me of the Green Lantern. I don't know. Anyway, guys, so that's it for today's show. If you like what you saw, I'll try to do this on a weekly basis. Tomorrow, come see us, me and my brother, Yugenshin. We're going to be talking about the PoE patch notes in a show we're going to call Exiled Force. That'll be a lot of fun. So I'm going to log off for now. Check us out tomorrow afternoon, and I will see you then. Thanks, team.